Hello everyone and welcome back to Phantom Sports Industries. My name is Joe Soisson. I'm a contributor for Phantom's hockey content. Recently, the NHL has been releasing a series of articles titled Quarter Century Teams. And basically what the league is doing is going through the past 25 years of hockey and voting on the players that they believe performed the best for each team in the NHL over the past 25 years. And the way they have grouped these teams is that they take a franchise and say, pick your top 12 players. You get 6 forwards, 4 defensemen, and 2 goalies, and they've broken them up into teams 1 and 2. Now, the one that caught my eye was the Buffalo Sabres Quarter Century Team. So here's the post the NHL released on Twitter or X. At forward for Team 1, they picked Daniel Briere, Jason Pominville, and Thomas Vanek. Then at defense, they picked Brian Campbell and Rasmus Dahlin. At goaltender, they round things out with Ryan Miller. Then Team 2 consisted of Chris Drury, Derek Roy, and Jack Eichel at forward. Then Jay McKee and Tyler Myers at defense. And lastly, at goaltender, Dominic Hasek. And there's a lot of great skaters in this lineup, and I don't disagree with a lot of the votes that were cast this direction. But I would have picked things a little differently. So after combing through 25 years of data, I came up with my own Buffalo Sabres Quarter Century Team. To start things off, my Team 1 had a lot of similarities. I looked at a lot of career stats for Buffalo, and also a lot of single season stats. But the must-have at forward, regardless, was Daniel Briere. In 2004 and 2006, Briere led the Sabres in points. And speaking of 06, Briere's 95 points is the highest of any Sabres player in the past 25 years. He also had 63 assists that year, which is also the most for a single season this quarter century. And the icing on the cake for Briere was how instrumental he was in the postseason. In 2 playoff runs for Buffalo, he averaged a point per game and finished with a positive 3+-. In my eyes, he has to be forward number 1 for this quarter century team. Next up, Thomas Vanek would be my forward number 2. He joined Buffalo in 2005, and for the next 9 years, he was a top skater on the team. His rookie year, he finished with the 6th most points on the team, and that would be the lowest he would ever be ranked as a Sabre. He had the most points for the Sabres in 2011 and 2013. He also put up 43 goals in the 06-07 regular season, which would be the most by any Sabre for another 15 years. That kind of scoring is just hard to replicate, which is why he's got to be my number 2. For forward number 3, I would bump Jack Eichel up to Team 1. When it comes to single season stats, Eichel sits 4th in points with 82 in the 2018-2019 season, 3rd in assists with 54 that same year, and 5th in goals with 36 the following year. And let's not forget, he was 2nd on the team in points his rookie season, and then, for the next 4 years, he led the Sabres in total points. There's a reason he was the number 2 overall pick of the 2015 class, and I think he deserves to be up on Team 1. At defense, no changes from me. I'd put Rasmus Dahlin at number 1. When it comes to points from defensemen, he blows every other member out of the water. 73 points in the 2022-2023 campaign. That's the most by any defenseman in the franchise over 25 years. And to put that in perspective, the next closest defenseman for single season points is 25 points behind. Maxim Afinogenov led the team in points in 2005-2006 and Dahlin would have tied him for first place that year. Defensemen just don't put up these types of numbers, which is why he has to be on Team 1. For defenseman number 2, I already tipped my hand. Soupy, aka Brian Campbell, rounds out the skaters. He really became the defenseman of Buffalo in 06-07, which was his best statistical year with the Sabres. He played in all 82 games and tallied 48 points, but what I think was undervalued was his discipline. Hockey fans will remember him for his hit on RJ Umberger, but despite his physical play and a lot of ice time, Campbell was never top 10 in penalty minutes on the team. He knew the line and stayed out of the box. He was a massive help in getting the Sabres to the postseason, which is why he rounds out the skaters of the Team 1 lineup. Now, when it comes to the goalies, I think they're basically interchangeable. They're both Hall of Famers, but here's what's interesting. By the rules of the time frame, Hasek only has one season with the Buffalo Sabres. But it was a year where he won both the William M. Jennings and Vezina trophies. He had a save percentage of 92.1 and a goals against average of 2.11. On top of that, he had a staggering 11 shutouts that year. Miller's numbers were great, but he never reached that high in a single season, which is why I'd move Hasek to Team 1. Alright, we're on to Team 2, and this is where I made some big changes. My top forward for Team 2 is Tage Thompson. 7 years in Buffalo, 283 points, and still counting. There's just not another player like him. 6'6" forward with one of the fastest shots in the game. And there's other tall skaters in the league, but none of them put up points like Tage Thompson. He owns the most goals in a season and the second most points in a season by any Sabre this quarter century. 47 goals and 47 assists in the 2022-2023 season for a grand total of 94 points. That's just 1 point behind Briere on that stacked 2006-2007 lineup. And it's easy to forget, but Tage Thompson would have made the All-Star game that season as well had he not been hurt the week before. I think he's the best forward on the roster today, and for his scoring ability, deserves a spot on this list. Next up, Jason Pominville. The population of Pominville had 11 seasons with Buffalo for a total of 521 points. But from 2006 to 2012, he was a beast. His lowest point total over those 6 years was 52 for a season. He led the Sabres during the 2007-2008 season, where he had 27 goals and 53 assists for a total of 80 points. That's the 7th most by any Sabre in this quarter-century time frame. He was also getting votes for the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy in 7 seasons with Buffalo. So not only was he skilled, but he was a great teammate to have on the ice. That's why Pominville is a must-have for this list. Now for the last forward, I would include another changeup. My pick is Miroslav Shatan. He had 8 years as a Buffalo Sabre, the first half of which were before the turn of the century. But I don't think he needs those stats, even from the Stanley Cup run. From the year 2000 to 2003, Shatan was the man. He led the team in goals, points, and assists in all 3 seasons. He had 37 goals in 2002, which is tied for the 4th most of any Sabre in 25 years. And his best year was 2003, where he had 75 total points. 8th most of any Sabre. And his supporting cast was young during this time. J.P. Dumont was 24, Tim Conley was 21, Afinogenov and Campbell were both 23. Briere had just joined the team and only played in 14 games. So Shatan was the star of the show before some more recent additions, which is why I think he deserves the final forward spot. For defense, I've got one major change. I would pick Rasmus Ristolainen as defenseman number 3. He was a first-round draft pick in 2013, and he was the muscle of Buffalo for about 8 seasons. His best year, 2016 to 2017, he put up a career-high 39 assists and 45 points. Now his plus-minus is weak, which probably makes a lot of people exclude him from this list. But Dahlin has had the worst plus-minus on Buffalo in 2 different seasons, and both Rasmus's, Dahlin and Ristolainen, have had a season where they led the team in penalty minutes. So it just comes with the territory of being on the ice a lot. And Ristolainen had some years where he was averaging 24.5, 25, 26 minutes of ice time. But what really did it for me was the points per season. Ristolainen had 4 straight seasons of over 40 points. The only other Sabres defensemen to do that are the 2 guys on Team 1. Okay, last skater to round out the lineup, Tyler Myers is my 4th defenseman. Kind of similar to Tage Thompson, you just don't see a skater like this that often. He's the 3rd tallest player in the league today, and he's in his 16th NHL season this year. He's been effective everywhere he's gone, too. Myers has made the playoffs with every organization he's joined. But with Buffalo, it was his early years that impressed. He won the Calder Memorial Trophy, aka Rookie of the Year, in 2010, and his 48 points would tie Brian Campbell's highest scoring season in Buffalo. And lastly, Myers has 151 points over his career as a Sabre. That's the 4th most points by a Buffalo defenseman in 25 years. And last but not least, Ryan Miller in net for Team 2. For 1 year, he may not have beaten Hasek, but for 11 years, Miller was one of the best goalies in the league. As a Buffalo Sabre, Miller had a career save percentage of 91.6% and a goals against average of 2.60. His best season was 2010 when he won the Vezina Trophy. 41 wins, was 52 saves short of 2,000 on the season, and posted a save percentage of 92.9% with a goals against average of 2.22. And some of the most iconic plays in this team's history belong to him. Miller deserves a spot in the Quarter Century Team and in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And there you have it. Those are my picks for the Buffalo Sabres Quarter Century Team. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. Who you thought should have made the list, who you agree with was on the list. We love to get all the feedback from you guys, so be sure to leave a comment on your thoughts on this video. And that's going to be it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like our content, be sure to click the like button on this video. Also be sure to click the subscribe button to get notified of future uploads to this very channel. Also, be sure to check out our official website. That's phantomsportsindustries.com. Once again, my name has been Joe Soisson, and from the rest of Phantom Sports Industries, we hope to see more of you next time.